when both Tom and Gisele are making the kind of money they're making and have been for quite some time, what does supportive look like at that point?
Home.
Well, I think
how much more support does he have to like?
It's not about him supporting her. Like it's not about that. It's about that she's being framed in a way where she's not being supportive of his career because he wants to go off and do this, and she wants him to stay home. She's being framed as a way as her not being supportive.
Do you think that the divorce has anything to do with him wanting to continue to play?
I don't know enough about it, and that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not commenting on that
That's irrefutable. Yes, it definitely does. Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't really know enough about, like, I don't want to comment on it if I don't personally have the knowledge of it. Okay. What I am aware of is what you got, you know.
She is the one that filed. So let's just.
So fair enough. So she's not happy with some of these things. So fine, whatever. Like that's not what I'm really trying to hit.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's holding like the frying pan in the air, like Tom, come back here so I can hit you. That's not what he's saying. What I am saying is that I think it's very, very like within extreme levels of reasonable behavior for a 45-year-old man who makes $40 million a year to continue to work.
I'm not talking about him or what he decided to do. I'm not talking about that at all.
And she does not believe that's within reasonable behavior, so she has divorced him.
How do you know that?
Maybe because they talked about it and agreed upon something, especially if this is his second time trying to retire, and the second time he came back from retirement, didn't really tell her.
Yeah, and what if they had a commitment? What if he had committed
that's
her?
What I feel like
what if he was like, you know what, I'm going to stay home, and then does that, and then she finds out this way, and she's like, oh fuck it, okay, and then she works with him through that, and then he does it again.
They're not the priority. His family football's priority. And then she's just like, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore, and then she's not supportive. Like, get the fuck out of here. She's not the priority. Why would she be supportive any further?
His legacy is the priority.
That is true.
It's true, but like, my God, it can end here, but it doesn't have to.
She can continue.
There's another dynamic at play that we're not hearing about.
She can continue to chase her pursuits, and he can't. That's what's different. You cannot.
But she hasn't in 13 years. What's the last project that Gisele has done in a big way?
Gisele has makeup and clothing lines. She's just because she's not.
Because that's what a stay-at-home mom does when you have that kind of money and fame, you know.
But what I'm saying is, it inherently is not the same thing when he does not stop her from pursuing her designs, and she has stopped him. Here's the other thing. When he is 65 years old, guess what he can't do? Yeah. He cannot play quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But he can do this today. And he's not kind of good at it. Now, obviously, in the last couple of weeks, he's been terrible. But when the season started, he is terrific at his job. And that's the only thing I'm saying. For what their decisions were about this thing, I do think it's a little bit unfair where she can choose to chase her designs on life, and he cannot choose to chase his. And he has a finite career, and she can continue to sell clothing, she can continue to sell makeup, and she can continue to model. He has not stepped in the way of her doing that at all.
So Jamie,
I feel like he went back on his word.
Are they weren't an ideal match? Is that what we're getting here? He picked the wrong girl. Is that what happened?
No, not necessarily. Like, no, not necessarily. Like, what I'm saying is that that's why most relationships fail. Okay, like it is, and I'm not like changing my opinion on that. Like, I feel like most people do really pick the wrong person. Now, sometimes in relationships you might find an equal match, right? Let's say that they would be a pretty equal match, right? That doesn't necessarily mean it was the right person, though. It doesn't necessarily mean it was the right person. Now, objectively, you could look at that and be like, yeah, like tick, 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 tick. But I don't know the inner workings of that relationship. I don't know what the insights were. Like, a lot of women like still choose, like, it looks right, and a lot of women marry right, and men do the same thing, but it doesn't mean it is right. Like, so yeah, like, I'm still going to kind of go with what I was saying earlier. Yeah, but there is this other thing that can happen as well. And sometimes people do change in relationships, okay? And that does change the course of the outcome of that relationship. And that's not something you're necessarily going to be able to see ahead of time.
See, here's what I think is happening, because it's the same effect it's a follow-on effect, anyways, of the same dynamic that happened with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Okay, when they first got, by the way, I was covering that since 2014, like before they got married, and I can remember a time where women were just demonizing Johnny Depp, saying he's a monster, he's an asshole. And when the divorce was going down, that was our opinion that he couldn't get work, he couldn't be Jack Sparrow anymore. And then suddenly, after we have the civil suit and the defamation suit, now it comes to light that, well, actually, he's really kind of a blue pill alpha. He's just sort of a chump who happened to believe in be very like emotionalist, let's just say. But we wanted to take Amber Heard. In fact, some people are still taking Amber Heard's side.
Well, there was a civil court in the UK that found in her favor and basically just stated that he beat her with no evidence. They found him guilty. That's essentially what happened, and it was incredible. I'll show you news articles from ABC Australia where they were like, I can't believe anyone would ever support what's his name? I can't remember.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. And then the trial comes out and he mollywops her. Turns out none of it was true.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because we tend to look, when we look at situations like this, we look at it from a female-specific perspective right away. It's the same thing that happened when Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Bezos got divorced. The first thing out of any woman's mouth was, well, she deserves that money, whatever she's going to get. They didn't even know what the settlement was going to be at that time. It was $33 billion. And of course, Jeff Bezos was like, all right, here you go. Right. 33 billion with a B, billion dollars. And she became the 5th richest woman in the world as a result of that divorce. The reason why women wanted to say, well, she deserves that because she was there from the beginning and she helped him get Amazon off the ground and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, if she were to take all of her holdings and all the money that she has and all of the equity that she had in Amazon and pulled it out of Amazon, it would in no way amount to $33 billion. That is a divorce settlement. So the first thing we think of is, well, she deserves it. She went through hell. There must have been some reason why she filed for divorce. 70 to 80% of divorces are filed by women. There is a reason for that. And of course, the first thing out of any woman's mouth is, well, the guy must have been a dick. There must have been something that was wrong with him. There must have been some abuse. He must not have held up his end of the bargain, whatever else. When in fact, statistically, most marriages don't last longer than 5. If they're going to get divorced, it usually ends between 5 and 9 years. And usually, as I said before, between the ages of like 29 and average age of first marriage for men is like about 30 years old. For women, it's about 28. Just enough time to squeeze out a baby and get back into the sexual market once again. And we see that across the board historically since 1960. It has always been that as a schema, let's just say. So when I'm bringing this back to Tom and Gisele right now, there are probably reasons behind all of this, but I think that they're a lot more visceral and probably less to do with like emotions and less to do with like, I think it's more logistical reasons. I think it's more pragmatic, practical reasons on her part because she's at the point right now where he's probably going to retire. I don't know when he's.
He might not make it through this whole year. He might not make it through this whole year.
Not even able to play. So now's the time to go. And if you go and you look at marriages in the NFL and in professional sports, usually when that guy retires, that's when they go through their first divorce, right there.
Listen, what I'm saying is, if we're married and I cheat on you, you want to leave me, I understand. If I hit you, for sure, leave me. If I do some other crazy shit, leave me. If I end up going to jail, I get it, leave me. If I end up throwing 49 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, just give me a shot. Yep. That's all I'm saying. Just let me throw some more touchdowns. That's all I'm saying.
It's like Brett Favre kept trying to go back into, like, he couldn't give it up. Like, and that, I mean, again, another Hall of Fame quarterback. And probably should have retired at Green Bay, but kept going back to it because he wanted that last ring. He wanted to be competitive. He doesn't know anything but football in his entire life.